Witness, I'm sorry. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this? Some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Where are they? Are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto! What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Oh, personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all this. Son, either you're very brave, or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. He just pulls like fucking 2 Gatling guns and just goes pew, 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 pew. Please don't do that. Weapons. Sure. Take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. That gives people too much power. Then once you become chief of police, you can just kill anyone. It doesn't matter. And of course, such an action carries with it certain risk. Oh, don't worry. I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well. The witness may now begin his testimony. Now, if I recall, is it him that, like, if I press too much, he's gonna be like, fuck you, or like, if I make too much mistakes, is he the one who tells me to fuck you? I can't remember. Oh, God. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Is that when Dark was arrested? He was lying on the floor unconscious. What knocked him out? Wait a minute. Wait, what knocked Dark out? When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head. Oh, okay. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. So, I don't know what that means. Does that mean I can't, like, press him on stuff? I just really don't want a fucking game over. Lana there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, had nothing to do with this forgery. Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Somehow, I've got to link Gant to this incident. I don't know. Where do I press this? How can you know that? Because of the victim's body. It had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk. That's right. I think you said earlier it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor? Yes. Anyway. Okay. I was able to press. I was okay. Now the question is, could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor? Yes, he apparently hit his head when it was knocked out. Next to them were the two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Lana was Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, She must have already known what her sister had done. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office? That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt. But moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you're going to stare at anything, you'd be better off staring at the court record. Worthy, always the smooth talker. But which piece of evidence ties Gan to the forgery? Lana did. Okay. Okay. So do I present the vase? Do I present the vase? Oops! I pressed check by accident. Do I present the vase? Oh, I do present the vase. Okay. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery. But I'm afraid that's a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example. That's the blue badger you showed us earlier. A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was actually found inside your desk. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant? These articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Ho! Here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery? Oh, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. I thought he let him go. He took his badge, didn't he? What are you talking about? Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office, and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. What? That's weird. If he was insinuating that those evidences were forged and that they weren't, oh, whatever, doesn't matter. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all you know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand that I am the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Oh. Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, oh, well, you know. Alright, Udgy. In return, though. I know. That place, right? Huh? What are they talking about? What are these guys, telepathic? Well, I know you got a blended up in my office. Wait. Let's just save just in case. I'd appreciate it if you didn't stop. I'd appreciate it if you stopped making these ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that. What? I'll have you know, back in the day, I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped. Mr. Wright, what are you saying? I wonder what it means to tip over. I'm assuming he was going to say tip over a cow. What does it mean when you tip over a cow? Do they die from that? Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry the evidence, did you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later. Later? What are you talking about? What else? I'm talking about when Raito's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, they would prove his investigation was illegal. I've never faced anyone as slimy as this guy. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. What do you mean by that? This is all purely hypothetical, of course. But suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery. If concealing evidence found at the crime scene isn't forgery, I'm not through speaking yet, Raito. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. Are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation? It would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. For all we know, it could have suddenly materialized the day after Dark was sentenced. Oh, and wouldn't that be convenient? Right. The chief is talking about a possibility, so long as you can't rule that out. Your remarks, however clever they may be, will only succeed in wasting time. Tell me something I don't know. Come on now, Raito. Think about it. There's no reason I participate in a forgery. How can you look me in the eye and say that? Because I'm innocent. He's not even looking in your eye. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil? I'm not sure I care for the word murder here. But in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Sky. Well, now do you see? Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there is one large benefit you reap from all this. Oh, I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? You got to have your own office. That would of course be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh! The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is a sufficient motive. Ha ha ha! Oh, that's a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes. He was going to be made chief anyway. Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. Archie, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, please do! I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Save. I mean, like, let me press and see what he says. Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Ho ho ho! Oh, that's a good one, Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone else? Yes. True, you might not help out anyone for their sake. But if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. That's not what I mean. Very well then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence? Yep. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky? The defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would have wanted to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant. But how would he profit from all this? He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. Do you mean to tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Judge, I love you, but why are you like this? Goddamn. Oh, what? You must mean puppet isn't someone forced to do his bidding. No, never mind. At least he figured it out on his own. Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive? To appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her. Righto, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana! She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing but mere conjecture. Nonetheless, that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Which one would that be? Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone had been controlling her. Did we see this before? I don't think we saw this picture before. But... Worthy, you better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? He might accidentally bite his tongue. What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. And not only that, but the chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What?